I'll make a brief video on selecting the number of lights, recessed lights that you might apply in your remodel. First thing you need to do is, of course, know the square footage. In this case, this room is 12 foot by 20.5 feet roughly long, and that gives us about 247.2 square feet for this room. Then I had to go and select the bulb type I was going to use in my recessed lighting. In this case, I chose to use dimmable CFLs. They have an equivalent wattage of 65 watts. Their actual wattage draw is only 13 watts. Don't confuse that. The equivalent watts basically is they're saying it puts out as much light as a 65 watt incandescent bulb. And then they also produce 800 lumens. The reason that matters is we're going to use two approaches. One of them is using wattage and one of them is using lumens. So there's a couple of rules out there. One of them is that you can assume 1.5 watts per square feet. So if I take the total square footage there, 247.2, and I multiply it by 1.5 watts, that gives me how many watts I need in the room. If I take my bulb spec of 65 equivalent watts of lighting and divide 370.8 by 65, I get about 5.7 bulbs, or 6 bulbs for that room. 6 fixtures, 6 bulbs. So that's one approach. It says we need 6 fixtures. And then the next approach is that you assume 10 lumens per square foot. Now, 10 lumens per square foot gives us a very different result. What we did was we took our total square footage here, we multiply it by 10, and that says we need 2,472 lumens. If you divide that by the 800 lumens that the bulb specifies by the manufacturer, it says you need basically 3 bulbs. 3 bulbs versus 6 bulbs. Which one's right? Well, I think I can largely tell you that this rule seems to work better. 6 bulbs is what we have in the room. Originally we were going to put considerably more. I started out with another space I have and I ratioed it, but the fact that this space was considerably smaller really blew it up to a huge number of fixtures, and I toyed with that for a little bit, and then I tried some of these rules and I ended up landing on 6 fixtures to see how that was going to work out, and I'll show you that in the room with the lights on, give you a feel for at night, give you a feel for how much lighting's there. It's plenty. Some might say it's too much. I don't think so. I like the option of having plenty of light when you need it, and that's the reason that I got the dimmable CFLs, and I got dimmer switches, so I can tune these CFLs down to a lower light level. After all, it's in the bedroom. You never know. You may need to set a mood. So that's what we're doing. We're going with 6 bulbs, dimmable, so that we can adjust the lighting to our liking. 3 bulbs for this space, that would be tough, I think. I'm going to show you what it would look like with 3 bulbs. I'm going to unscrew 3 of them and show you that we're not going to be evenly dispersed throughout the room like they might be if we actually installed 3 fixtures, but we'll at least give you an idea of what the room looks like with 3 bulbs, what the room looks like with 6 bulbs. The beauty of the whole thing is we're talking 13 actual watt draw per bulb for 6 bulbs. This thing's, equivalent to a 100-watt bulb in a fairly large space of 250 square feet. I just love it. Just love to see that cost savings taking place. So anyway, let's go look at the actual room and let's see how these 2 options turned out. Now, forgive the mess. Still in the midst. We've got the lights up. I misspoke earlier when I spoke about the light bulb selection. These are actually 65 watt equivalent LEDs. Their actual draw for all 6 is 78 watts, which I love. Produce a lot of light, a little bit of power. As I told you before, I selected the 6 bulb combination, and yeah, it looks nice. It's bright. It's not ridiculously bright, but it's you'll have the option of having nice bright light when you need it. And then we've got a couple of dimmers here. So as we take those dimmers down, you can see that you can set a pretty nice mood with these lights. That's actually quite dark, but they're still on. They're still producing some light. So I'll tell you, it's I vote for 6 lights for this space. So I was going to use a rule of thumb to make a choice on light selection for recessed lights. I'd go with the 1.5 watts per square foot. Again, particularly if you're going to run a dimmer system. If we weren't running a dimmer system, maybe 4 or 5 would be better, and that's somewhere in between the 2 rules. But I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I think six lights is the right choice for this room. Also relocated our AC registers here. This one formerly was over this direction. It was in the old room that we took out. Here's the beam. So there's one register there and the other register there. So if you've watched the other videos, you'll know what we're talking about. So let me show you what it would look like with 3 bulbs on, and then you can kind of choose which rule of thumb you want to use when you're making your decision on how many lights, how many recessed lights to put in a room. Well, we're down to 3 lights. I've unscrewed 3 of them, loosened them up, and I mean, if you change the distribution because your intent originally was to put in 3 lights, it wouldn't be terrible. It would certainly be on the darker side, a bit shadowed. One thing about recessed lighting is you want some reasonable distribution of your fixtures, and well, it just doesn't work for me if we were using 3, even with a different distribution. So here's what they look like dimmed, very, very dark. So anyway, might take 6 bulbs. If you're unsure, add a dimmer. Use the 1.5 watt per square foot rule, my opinion. And you know, you might be able to go in between the 2, between 3 and 6. But to tell you the truth, we've got 4 bulbs in this closet here, which is considerably smaller square footage, and you know, we've got a nice light quantity. These bulbs are a little smaller. I think they're 45 watt actually, as it turns out. But either way, 45 watt equivalent. Either way, it's I think 3 for this room's a little on the low side. I think 6 is good to maybe slightly more than we need. But again, with the dimmer, slightly more than you need, not a problem. So for those of you who are following the overall remodel, we've got the new windows installed. You can see the new windows a foot shorter than the old windows, so we had to build that area up. Be some more sheetrock work to do there. We're still finishing up the installation. Sides and the bottom are secured and shimmed. I just need to shim and secure the top completely across the plate up there. That's the header and the plate that's up there. This is a brick installation, so this particular window is not flanged, and yeah, it worked out well enough. A lot of sheetrock work to do up in this joint, I'll tell you the truth. Lots and lots. You can see the ceiling is totally bare. Allowed us to relocate everything we needed to. Had a hole or 2 we'd have to patch, so we let it go, let it all come down, and we'll start back up with it hopefully early next week. The only thing now is finish up that top header on the window, finish reinstalling a bunch of the insulation that's down and out from the work we did, a lot of it to go back up. So we'll get the insulation back up. It's pretty chilly around here, so I need to get that back up before the heat bill kills me. But hopefully we'll get that up in the next day, maybe 2. Some things to do tomorrow with Super Bowl parties and the like. So hopefully the next day or 2 we'll get the insulation up, and then we can start up with the sheetrock. You can see I got my sheetrock lift poised, ready to go. Sheetrock, 14 sheets of it over here against the wall, ready to go. So just a matter of moments until we get all that going. Anyway, we'll check back with you again. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.